Hey, what's good, people? This is episode 221. This is the Option Podcast. Didn't need to flip to the other screen. I'm teching my own show today, so on split screen. That's Zim. That's Derek Zimmerman. Buckle up, people. The episode starts right now. Now, I really mean this because with my guest today, I can truly sing this and sound righteous about this. Ready? I got to give the people what they want. Episode 221, Option Podcast. Derek Zimmerman, what's good, baby?
Life's good.
Nice.
Everything's falling into place. Older I get, and I'm enjoying things a little more than I used to.
And you know what? You just celebrated the big 5-0, right? You got one star. You got 1 star apiece behind you for your age. You got one star apiece. Right. Oh, glory, baby. Let me tell you something before we get started.
I made it here.
Listen, having you on the podcast, knowing that you're celebrating your big 5-0 and having Oh Glory in the background just makes me feel patriotic. Makes me feel like an American. Makes me want to go to the Statue of Liberty, reach up that giant and give her a squeeze.
Absolutely.
For America.
Or what we think is America at this moment. What we think is going on.
So I know you and I think I speak for both of us. When it comes to like the league, you and I have been like in and out. We like our weekends, we kind of got other things to do, right? And Sunday, you know, is football season. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and like even Kristen Nuss is like she's watching the Saints game while at the same time she's trying to watch her male counterparts play for the Austin Aces, right?
Absolutely. Even though they started off strong and they're slowly failing.
I know, right? You know, so for you and me, what we're gonna do, because it's so easy for us to get sucked into the other, that's called self-honesty, right? Let's fake it till we make it. Let's start with some of the things we like about the league. Let me go first. I like that franchises, right? Certain players like a male and female gender representing a city, like the Knicks and the Liberty, you know, the whatever and this and that, and the city has someone to cheer for. And though, you know, maybe they're still working on having actual home games, right? Because I'm hoping that's where it goes next. But I like the idea. You know why? Because now you have someone you're cheering for. You're like, that's my team. That's the team I'm going to tune in and watch every weekend. The players have warmed up to the city because the fans gave them the love first, and it's impossible to not give that love back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to land with that and let you talk for a change. And I know
about the same things. Yeah, go ahead, finish.
Nah, that was it.
I thought about the same things. It's I haven't watched much of it, to be completely honest, which I'm in the end of my work season, you know. I'll catch up on some volleyball in the next couple of months when I'm not as busy. I like the separation of where they're putting it in different places for more people to see. I don't like how they have everything just team names and not have their names underneath it. Like when you go on the website to go look, it's just, you know,
right,
Miami Passion or whatever it is, and they don't tell you who it is. The other thing that I do have a little bit of problem with, what happens when a guy gets injured? Now, I know there's reserves that come on in, but do you have one backup or is it a team backup? Also, what if a partnership splits up? What are we doing here?
Oh.
Where does this go? Are you part of the team? Does the team get to trade you for another player and the other guys on the chopping block? What are we doing here? Where are we going? Are we going in that direction?
Right.
Like the NBA, NFL kind of thing, where you have a city team and you play for that and go live there. But there's got to be more people. And it's got to be like maybe zonal, just kind of how the NFL runs and how NBA runs.
Yeah, I do.
Could be.
And again, I can't emphasize enough, like the New York Nitro, right, and the Brooklyn Aces. If they found a way, and I don't care how, I don't. You want to talk about money? You want to talk about this? I don't know. I don't care. Fine. If you're a New York team, play New York. Because I will tell you this: you go to tournaments, right? Maybe in Atlanta, the Gold Series, or New Orleans or Texas. And that first day, the main draw, the qualifier, the seats are empty, right? It doesn't look like an entertaining event. And then Sunday's packed, right? And then they have a semis and finals that looks like it saves volleyball until Monday, right? And this is the cycle we've been going through. New York, from the qualifier, from a tournament perspective, Manhattan, New York 2019, the qualifier was wall to wall. It was jam-packed with foreigners, jam-packed with international indoor players who are interested because New York has neighborhoods. Like, we have little Brazil. So Ricardo's there, Brazil's going to come through. You know what I'm saying? We have Brighton Beach, the Russians in Brighton Beach, the Koreans in Flushing, the Chinese in Chinatown, the Dominicans uptown, right? All of them came through for Rafa Rodriguez, and Dominicans don't even like Puerto Ricans. So, I mean, for example, that will be the next step. If Kristen Nuss and Taryn Cloth played in New Orleans and weren't the Dallas or whatever they are, the Texas whatever, that place from it, and it's, mind you, it's just 1 day, one match. But let's say they had, let's say you messed around and had 3 matches, that place would be jam packed from wall to wall. It would be sold out. And I mean, we're gonna have a conversation about what the wild card should be used for. But I will say this, and answer me honestly, and keep your thought. No, please don't forget, because I had James Shaw, and I made him forget because I kept yapping away. But April and Alex won the gold, right? Okay. Kristen Nuss and Taryn Cloth are New Orleans product. Who's going to sell more tickets in New Orleans? Be honest.
Right.
It's going to be Nuss and Cloth.
It's going to be Kristen. That's where she's from.
By a lot.
And Taryn has been embraced here. Absolutely.
No, but not like, they're both deserving. It's pretty close. No, by a lot. Sorry, your thought. Please say you
now, just now, 100% now. It's what have you done for me lately?
That's
just leave it at that. What have you done for me lately? Who's a hotter ticket at the moment?
Yeah.
You can't go bringing in somebody who hadn't touched the ball in a year and just say, here, go.
I'll tell you this.
You're not going to be as good as you were before.
I'll tell you this.
It's just how it works.
Who's the best men's team in America right now? I mean, we can go Partain and Banesh, right? We could go. I personally think Theo and Trevor, who did not go to the Olympics, I think they're the most complete team. Of course, the Taylors are
absolutely
exciting to watch. That might even be your pick. Certainly,
always.
Certainly, Aaron Wexler. Yeah, just dynamic.
Like I said, I haven't watched much of that league. I should see the standings. So where are the standings sitting?
I will say this:
aren't they 10-2? Aren't the Taylors 10-2?
They're first, yeah. Listen.
Yeah. So
Jumper Sand in
that's part of it.
Good. There's on the domestic.
I don't think that
scene,
matters at this level with these guys. I don't think sand depth matters that much.
No, not if they're professionals.
Not at this. No, it was a hair for me because I wasn't a big jumper when I traveled from Pakistan to Hermosa. I had to get out there a week early and figure this stuff out. A little different.
But on the domestic,
play on it all the time.
But on the domestic scene, they got it figured out.
Yeah.
Twitch reaction, speed of the ball, high level of play. Comparable from FIVB to MVP.
Look, it's a grab for the top 4, 5, 6 teams. Who's going to show this weekend? Who's been training more? Who's been doing more work? And it's going to show. And
who's going to put butts in seats for the home teams? Because
part of it too. Where's the controversy?
But the Taylors, you just said, the Taylors can be drafted by any city and still have that following. But here's some numbers for you. Evan Cory, before he moved to California, when he was a full-time blocker front row, got more views on Facebook Live than the league is getting live, right, on Bally Live right now. Evan Cory would go to some tournament in Texas, the Sands tournament, or this or that, and I would follow. And I'm telling you, you look at the 3K or like 500 viewing, 800 viewing, and then you're like, wow, it got to 1K. Wow, this is 1.5K. Watching now, So I'm pretty sure if the prodigal son returned, if New Orleans had a home game. I'm only mentioning New Orleans because if there's anyone that could push back and say, I don't know about that, Jay, it's you.
Look, there just always has to be marketing for all this stuff. It just has to. You have to get the people to know who this is. I mean, beach volleyball around here is big if you're into volleyball here. Right. Like if you already know about sand volleyball.
Right.
If you don't know about it, you only played indoor leagues, most people just stick to that.
Okay.
And that's bigger. Always indoor is bigger than beach, especially in a state that doesn't even have a beach. Okay? The city doesn't have a beach. It's just how it works. Yep. We do have two complexes that are both, they're what and what. One might look prettier than the other, but they both have nets and sand and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What's going to get them here is the younger people have to know who they are, and that's why that Kristen and Taryn group is going to bring a bigger draw than you will for the A team, who was an Olympian in the past.
Yeah,
it's what is at present, what is going on now. You have to keep changing with the times to keep doing better, and that's just how it is. So if you want to get people here, it has to be Kristen and Taryn be the team from here.
Right.
Evan would be the team from here, 100%. Mm-hmm. You can't go putting a West Coast guy and coming to New Orleans. People are going to go, what? Who's that guy? Why is he?
And why do we care?
Representing us?
Right.
And why do we care? Yeah,
right.
Especially a city as passionate as it is. It's like trying to tell somebody to take on a California fan from Philly. Yeah. Represent a California guy who's in Philly. You think that's going to happen?
Yep.
That dude's going to get booed, beer thrown at him. Get out of here, dude. Whatever.
Yeah. And I'll plug the West Coast, right? Hughes and Chang. They're pretty known, well known anywhere. But there's nothing in the world to them like playing in Manhattan Beach, right? Ask them where they like playing the most. Right. They're going to be the first to tell you, I like playing home. Now they might get into some speech. Oh, Stad is exotic. Oh, that's nice. Oh, the people is nice. The costumes.
Yeah.
No. That's a regional thing. But that's why. But mind you, this is what I like about the league. And the more the league becomes
there's ability
popular,
to have more people involved.
Right.
I think if you spread this out, everything seems like it just goes to the West Coast, and it branches Colorado, different tournaments around the country. I get that. But if you had multiple weekends, think about it. How many people from the East Coast, they got one tournament over there, maybe two. So all year long, they can't see anything because the majority, maybe they want to go to a West Coast one, but they want to see the event. Well, then they need to be spread out more. They need to have multiple events. Look at NFL. All day long, you can see different games in different cities and different places. So you need to spread yourself out. And maybe it is not having this big, huge production. Okay, some of them can be this big, huge production. The Wimbledon of volleyball, stuff like that. That could be the mega, of course. Manhattan Beach, Hermosa. You're going to keep those staples. But why not have
Chicago,
them at smaller venues like Tom Davenport's place or just White Sands? It's only got 6 courts at White Sands. I get that. Can it be done there? Absolutely.
Compared
Absolutely.
to what? But compared to what, right?
With not having – wait, hold on. Hear me out, Jason.
Sorry.
Not having a 32-team draw, a 24-team draw, or whatnot, even if it's 12. You just have a handful of games go on there. And it's a few weekends throughout the season. And people get to come from, say, the Gulf Coast, okay, Pensacola, coming maybe in from Houston. They'll drive in here to come see those players play just 4 times, where they won't go to California to go see it, or won't go to another state or another region. And you have these in multiple cities around the country. You're not playing against everybody every weekend, but it turns into a wins-loss thing, and then you go into it with wins, losses, points, however you want to do it, and have semis, finals, whatever, regional things, just like NFL, East Coast, West Coast, all the divisions. And then it boils down to the top 4 and just keep on going down with it. It's just an idea. But you gotta try it to see if it works. I understand the tournament format. I love it. Of course, I'm old school. I've been through all of it, even side out, rally scoring, all of it. I love it. I think the games could be a little longer with this league, points to 15. Give the fans what they want to see. Stay there a little longer.
Right.
Maybe one game to 25 instead of 2 to 15. I want to have more teams. I want more of these guys and girls to participate. Mm-hmm. I want the lower end guys to become known people. I want them to become the household names. The young guys like an Evan coming up. Everybody should have known who that is. Make them into superstars.
Yeah.
Make them into it. It shouldn't be just the top 10 guys or the top 10 women. It should be more than that. Think about the tennis. How many people are talked about? Golf. How many people are talked about every week? They're all in the hunt for it. They're all in contention. So So why not talk about them? Everybody is, whether the guy comes through the qualifier, because obviously Kristen and Tara in their first tournament blew through a qualifier and won it. So
for which one, FIVB or AVP? Both.
Right. So these people should be known. They're putting in the hard work too. They just might not have the points. They might not have the partner that they deserve at that moment. But given a chance to be seen by other players and by fans too, it just pumps it up. And also, think about this. We're in a world of a digital age. I could never find a sponsor back in the day. You're not on TV. You're not on TV. Yeah, great. You're from New Orleans. Whatever. Okay. I get it. Now anybody can be on the TV.
I agree.
Because it's all internet-based. It's all YouTube. You put your own content out there. So what about these matches that are showing on YouTube put out by the AVP? That would help those players get sponsors and get more money so that they don't have to, they can work harder at their craft and at living life.
Right. And I will say this.
As a job, because you put in 40 hours a week at your job. So, that's the averages, right? 40.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Can you put in 40 hours a week at playing beach volleyball if you have to work another job? The answer is no.
No.
The answer is no. You can't do it. But if that's their job and that's their goal, what they want to do, they got to make those sacrifices. But the money, if the sponsors can come, that would just make it easier for these guys.
Right.
And I'm not saying, not to work and everybody just hand them money for nothing. I get it. You got to be providing for these people, who are going to sponsor you. But it'll be easier for them to justify that money going out. That's what I'm talking
100%.
about.
And
being seen more.
And I speak for both of us. Like if I were just going to put the last 5 years in a vacuum, the players have done their part. Whether we're talking about in the gym, like sometimes I watch like a player on Instagram, like they're showing like their workout thing, and I'm like, if you're showing a workout thing on Instagram, you're probably not working out, right? Because that's the hater in me. But no, that's them. Right. No, but the truth is, no, they're just like, hey, this is process and preparation, and that gets people to care about the movie, right? That gets people to care about the character. Right.
Yeah.
So the players have definitely done their part. Like Evan, you and I were just talking about. Evan was a human promotion machine every weekend, every single
Still
weekend.
Is.
But every single weekend,
Still
that guy was on the finals, winning or losing. There, and his audience size grew. I'm telling you, I don't need
if
to
you
tell you.
didn't put the content out, then who was going to see it?
Right.
And that's how people want to stand behind somebody who's out there.
Yeah. But
everybody does.
But you were one of those people watching with me, right? We were in the comment section on Facebook Live watching this kid.
Yeah. I have a different connection to Evan, of course, than most people. Yeah. He was 17 when I said, "Come on, kid, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do this. You could be something." Actually,
let me ask you something about that. 2021 AVP New Orleans, right? Him and Weber beat Rafa Rodriguez and Piotr Marciniak.
Correct.
Were you there after the finals just to give him congratulations? Because I know you were like different places that day. But were you at that finals?
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I showed up. I think that's when I met you.
Yep. Yeah. You showed me a good time.
And we met inside. Yeah.
That was the weirdest meeting we ever had in our lives.
I'm not a.
I was like, why do I care? He was like, why do I care? This is Derek. This is Jason. So what?
Yeah. Who? Jason? I don't know that guy. What the hell?
Why do I care?
All right. I'll shake his hand. What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Well, you asked the one line that made both of us friends. I said, you like whiskey? And I said, yeah. I said, let's go. Yeah. Let's go find a spot. And we found this. Like the quarter was jam-packed, and we found this hole-in-the-wall bar. There was this woman, like a live band, like a live singer.
I remember well.
Empty as hell, and we're like, yep, this is a good whiskey spot. Great conversation, dude. That was like
any place to talk instead of screaming at each other.
It's like 3.5 hours, dude, of just volleyball. That was we became fast friends. But you were there that night, right?
Sure. Yeah, of course. I drove you down there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. How fun was Coconut Beach as far as like night games are concerned? Like, take the audience through like
as far as what?
Take the audience through the atmosphere. Like, it might be hot as balls during the day, but that means a nice cool but not too cold night.
It's hot at night.
No, but like a warm. No, but in California at night you're bundling up. It's brick out here.
It's warm. I mean, we got nights here in July and August that are 100 degrees at 11 o'clock at night. Heat index. You just don't want to go out the door. I'm not lying to you. It's pretty bad. Like myself, with my lawn business, cut grass all day. I don't want to be out on that stuff any more than I have to. But the atmosphere out there was good. I mean, just think about it. A hometown boy, hometown place he grew up playing, since he's a kid, his dad played there. His mom played out there. And then here he is playing in the biggest tournament of his life at that moment. And he comes out the victor. Mm-hmm. You can imagine what it's like. Of course, all these people came out to see him and support him in a finals, and that's amazing. It's amazing. It's what this city does. Yeah. When somebody, and as they should, and it's not like he's a bad person, not like he's an ass or anything like that, nice. Which he can be, just like everybody else can be in a competitive sport and whatnot, on and off the court. But he's a good dude, and he's putting in the work, and everybody should applaud that.
I think
he's putting in a lot of work.
I think Trevor brought the out in him. Like, he was such a nice kid, and then you play a couple of matches against those guys, and every time you switch sides.
Evan's always had that in him. He's got that. He's got that southern, you to everybody, just like as you should. I'm sorry, you got it too, being from New York. It's just a way of growing up.
100%.
You can be nice for so long, and then you just get tired of it, or it's your ploy of how you beat people in this game.
Yeah,
getting in their heads. That's part of it. That's what Trevor does. That's what he does. He wants to talk because it's fun. It's part of the competition, but it gets into somebody's head. Yeah. And if it's worth 1 point a match, that can be the end of it.
And if championships are decided by 2 points, right? I told my friend.
Always.
I told a friend of mine that championships are not decided by blowouts. They're decided by 2 points. So when you think about what you just said, which might get 1 or 2 points, you're talking, as well as the strategic, right? So constant pressure in the service area. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you're the New York Nitro, right? Who I think is like 10-2, right? But how many of those? A lot of those games won by 2. Like, think about how that overall think about how that overall win-loss record could go another way, right? So I'm actually
I like how when things like that play out, the controversy and people shoving another guy. They're not trying to really hurt each other. If they were trying to hurt each other, fists would have been thrown.
Exactly.
It's just how it works.
Yeah, they ain't about
that. It's just out there. Everybody's playing a game.
They ain't about
it's
that.
It's still
life.
Another game, and and the fans love it. And you should have seen everything blew up on Facebook, old school. Everybody's, what happened? Who was wrong? Oh, he flopped. Yeah.
Relax.
So there it is. There's all the stuff you need to make a good show. And if they should encourage some of that now. Until it gets out of hand.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna show.
We've always said that you need characters. Mm-hmm. You don't need your bland people to walk through that sport in any sport. In any sport.
Yeah, I gotta tell you too. Getting back to what we were talking about, like the atmosphere. There's nothing in the world like a night game, like. Where they have the lights on and the restaurant, like nobody wants to drink during the daytime unless you're like you're a booze hound or Look, on the West Coast,
that's everybody.
No, the excuse for boozism out here is mimosas, right? Like you're not an alcoholic if you drink wine in the afternoon, but you get some bourbon and vodka.
Depends on what the alcohol is. Oh,
right, exactly.
But name it. What you name it? My fault.
But get some bourbon and vodka at 2:00 or 3:00 in the afternoon. You're a drunk. But have some wine and crackers. All of a sudden, it's like,
upscale.
Oh, I feel like I'm in Europe. you got some cheese for this?
Right.
So let me show you a picture. This was the sun setting. Look at how freaking pretty that is, dude. That's the sun setting, right?
Yep.
And now the sun's already set, so let me see if I can
get a little more to the left on those. Yeah.
So now here's a darker picture. Let's just go straight video for this. Look at that. That kind of nighttime atmosphere. Everyone's drinking, having a good time. The rest.
Neons in the back. Everything's lit up. Yeah. It's nice.
No doubt. So
it's different. It's something you don't see a lot. Obviously, when you have a beach tournament, a true beach tournament, there's no lights out there. Playing underneath those lights, I've done that. That's all I've known.
Yeah.
Obviously, I started off at Coconut Beach, and then the split happened and went with White Sands. But the lighting, you got to get it right. Some places don't have it right. Yeah. Some places do have it right. And I remember when we put those things up at Coconut, we were adjusting them all with the guy on the thing and trying to move them and facing them which way and what's going to be best and what court. You got 18 courts. What the hell are you doing? You know, but somewhere something's going to be in your eyes. But so is the sun. But everybody says, well, that's a constant. Well, so is that light. Get used to it and play. And it shouldn't be as terrible as it is. But I like it. I think it's different. I think a lot of people, they get like, what is that? They have astigmatism in their eyes when they see like the halo around things. Yes. Maybe that's different for some people. I think they've got some of the glasses that'll cut it down. But, I mean, think about that nighttime atmosphere on a Thursday or Friday night.
Yeah.
You could do it at night, instead of, you can do it weeknights through places
because
of the capabilities of those lights and having a league thing. And that's why they have leagues at Coconut and at White Sands. That's why people run them like Davenport does.
Hey,
in Colorado.
But actually, we're going to do Colorado next, but talk to some of our audience about some of the places at night. You mentioned Coconut Beach. Does White Sands have night lights?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all the same.
So for the people who aren't from New Orleans, just like give them a clue on like some of the spots. We name White Sands, which is pretty cool. That's Bruce. Is that Bruce White?
No, Cory Seeger owns that now.
Oh, it's Cory. Cool. And Coconut Beach, whoever owns that, I don't know who runs that.
Mike Jury.
Yeah,
he still owns that.
And how many courts?
And I think his daughter runs it. They had, I think it was 20, 21. It was 18 at one point. They put a side court, something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a quit.
Yeah, I wish I had a picture I could share with you the day that I put up every net in that place. We had a children's hospital the next day. For 2 weeks, I worked. It's 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks. I worked on getting everything in the poles in the ground, the hardware for everything, put the nets up, screen and everything. And I have a picture in my phone that's
so name drop
up on like a lift, and you could see like everything just squared off perfect. It looked beautiful. It really did.
Who works
but
with
that's
you?
the only two places we have here is White Sands and Coconut Beach. And there is there was a rivalry because there was a split up between owners, and it got kind of ugly, and they were supposed to be partners, and one got fired the other. Whatever.
Right. Who else?
My business.
Who else?
That was years ago.
But who else worked with you? Was Jamie part of that operation too, or?
Who's Jamie?
Not Jamie. God, who's the coach? Who's one of who is Evan's coach in New Orleans? Coming up as a beach coach.
Oh.
What was his name? Actually, it doesn't matter. I don't know. No, I was just trying to see if you can give me some names. You were one of the people that were helped putting it together. Who else is out there with you, right?
Working in Coconut when we first opened it in Kenner?
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce was, Mike was, the guy who owns it. Just a handful of people. I think Topo was out there. Culpepper came in, and Culpepper did a good bit of work, as always.
Davis,
always.
Isn't he the man?
I talked to him today. I love that guy. Yeah. It's one of my best friends. He is. Mm-hmm. He's the epitome of an old school volleyball player that has a vast wealth of knowledge of this game, of courts, of setup, design. He's been everywhere and done everything. Yep. He worked 18 years for the EEVB. He's built more courts than probably anybody. And he might not be, the most pleasant to look at or the most intelligent guy with coming out of his mouth, but who the hell is? But he is a damn genius at what he does. He really is. That man, he works his off. There is no stopping him.
Yeah.
And he is one of the truest friends.
He's a mensch
that you could ever have.
He's a mensch.
He really is.
He's a real.
He really is. If somebody I can count on to do something or have my back or needed for something, he'll be there.
And the respect is there.
He's a true brother.
Listen, the respect is there. Like Derek, you know him. I think it's safe to say you know him a hell of a lot better than I do. But I don't offer a lot of people my place. Like Manhattan Beach came, right? And usually I have Jeff staying with me because I usually coach Jeff. I'm usually his coach, so we could watch video together, have dinner. We spend a little bit of time. But this year I was in London. I went to London, and they're like, "Who's got your place?" Ain't nobody staying at my place. You hippies. No. Out of here, right?
I don't know you that well.
And but Steve Devlin, who's a friend of mine from Chicago, was like, look, I offered him my place, and he's like, he's got Dave coming, right? So he's like, he wants to stay at my place, so Dave could stay at his hotel. And I was like, if Dave staying at my place is more accommodating for him, do that, right? Yeah. And I did that out of respect for the man. I met him at World Series of Beach. This is 2016 because he helped put those courts together. Yep. There it is.
Yes, he did.
Didn't you wear the right shirt? Do you see how? Can you appreciate the art of Jason and Derek? Can you appreciate? You just changed that shirt last minute. Didn't even know we were going to talk about World Series of Beach. But
I did. I had on my Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
It was too hot.
You know what I liked about that guy? I was covering that for Volleyball 101. And
you told me that.
Andor, July, who runs Volleyball 101, didn't we were having trouble setting up media credentials. So he's like, look, I'll tell you what, till they work it out. He's like, if you sit in that corner and take pictures, as long as you don't leave that corner, you're good. And I was like, I was like, yes, sir. And thank you.
Guess where this guy sat? I sat in the box on the sand next to the players. I sat next to Phil and Rosenthal. I was dabbing Phil out. Good job out there, brother. And the CEO of ASICS is sitting there. I'm like, who's this old guy? He's like, that's the CEO of ASICS. Be nice.
And we were talking about. Okay. How about this?
I'm on the sand. Who gets that? That's what Dave does for his people. Yeah. And then when I remember this. I'm in the stands. I was talking to somebody, and they said he was raking the court all by himself, and I mean the entire inside of it. He didn't just do the court. He did the whole thing before the finals for Misty and Kerry. And I'm up in the stands. I whistled at him and I went, "Hey man, you need a hand?" And he's like, "Hell yeah!" Jumped off over the side, started pulling the whole thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Carrie looked at us and she goes, "I don't even want to step out there. It's so perfect."
Sometimes.
But those are the things the perks that I got from my friend of sitting, right court side, center court at big events. I remember back in the day when we worked for AVP, everything. Yeah. Anything you need, brother. It's for you. It's for you.
And he helped with
He's
Denver,
a great
right?
man. That's somebody you need to have on this podcast.
If he wants to.
In my opinion. Look, he would love to.
All he's got to do.
I'd do it with him. I'll do it with him. We could do a 3-person.
I would like that.
100%. That guy's amazing.
You know me. I'm on episode 221, man. I'm just.
Absolutely.
There's part of me that everyone feels like I'm trying to cover all my bases, but for me, I just like the interesting. And then the interested, right? Like Dave is an interesting person. So if you're interesting, I'm going to reach out. And then the second part is interested, right? So the process of like the guest list is, believe it or not, very much like Joe Rogan. Like everybody, like I ask people, like, who do you think sets up Joe Rogan's podcast? Which agency? And everybody's like, oh, this or that. Oh, the same people that do his comedic booking. He does his own.
They don't listen to him. No, he does everything himself.
He does, the podcast. He does his own.
For his podcast. Yeah, he does all himself. It's just who he wants to talk to. Yeah, of course. It's just who he wants to talk to and who he's interested in, what he's interested in talking about. He doesn't care about what's going on. It's just, I want to talk to this guy because he's interesting.
Yeah, so 2 episodes.
I'm listening to him today. He's talking about a lady who, she's one of the foremost people about wolves. He likes wolves. He thinks wolves are interesting because he's a hunter. And so he has this whole 2.5-hour podcast about wolves. Yeah. And how far they travel and all this. It's interesting stuff. I mean, I like it too.
Me too.
There's a lot of subjects that he has that I'm very interested in.
Someone's talking about bees.
I find it fascinating.
Someone's talking about bees before.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah. I love that episode. And then he even got the hallucinogenic stuff from South America, the honey. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Mad honey, they call it. Is
yes,
that right? Mad honey. It makes you hallucinate. Yeah.
It's like, how you doing, Derek? It's like, I'm good.
Not this episode.
I'm good.
Maybe next episode we'll do a mushroom trip.
Well, I'm a little bit into politics, and I had a debate with some of my friends because my friends are like, oh, how come he only has this person on, that person on? And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking. I said, people that say that don't listen to the podcast. The people that criticize, and I'm like, he's not a political guy. They're like, but he had this person on. I said, because he thinks that person's interesting. And it's like, oh, well, he doesn't think that person is interesting. He said, I'm like, probably not. I said, the guy has 2,100 episodes. How many politicians that do you think he's had on? Maybe 80? Like if we go through Spotify and we scroll through the list, it's comedian, this person's about bees, right?
On Rogan?
Yeah. Like out of 2,100 episodes, probably like 100.
I don't think it's 80. I don't think it's even that.
No, I think I'm generous.
I think you're way generous. I think it might be like max 20.
No, well, definitely more than 20, but because
you think politicians?
Well, maybe no. He's had people on multiple times.
No, I've been listening for a long time,
Gabbard's
man.
one of his favorites. No, but Gabbard's one of his favorites. So she was on 3 times. So that's different. Okay. I'm not talking about political journalists. I'm talking about politicians. Probably 25, 20. You're right.
Yeah, it's not many.
No.
Because he's not into that. He wants to talk about it. He's got his opinions about it.
Yeah.
As we all do. He just gets to voice them to everybody.
And everyone's saying like, "Oh, your boy's gonna have Trump on," and I'm like, "No, he's not." And they're like,
"No, he might."
He might. Well, there's also people saying that Kamala Harris, like her staff, is in talks with Joe Rogan's people about having it on, which is a lie, right?
I don't think that's happening.
No, but we know that's a lie because when you say he's in talks with Joe Rogan's people about it, that's a lie because Joe
there
Rogan,
are no people.
No, he's a one-man team as far as scheduling is concerned.
Correct.
But if Rogan has Trump on, it's not going to be before the election. He does not want to have, and he does not, he basically, he said he does not want to have anyone on to support a political agenda. It was the reason why
that's something that could sway the vote one way or another because of his platform.
No, he just wants a conversation. If he has Trump on, what do you think he's going to talk about? He's going to talk about bourbon. Look, politics is going to come up, but he's going to talk about maybe the show, right? He's going to talk about, how Trump grew up as a kid. I mean, there's going to be things like he had Sanjay Gupta, like the doctor. They were talking about different types of bourbon. There was a 3-hour conversation, and he got in his ass about the CNN thing about him taking horse dewormer, right? Why is your network lying?
Isn't that fun?
Remember that shit? Why is your network lying about me taking horse dewormer? I can afford the real drugs, mother.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
No, but my point.
It's like I have a doctor.
Right?
I have a doctor.
A real doctor that prescribed it.
He's real.
No, but
here's why. Not a veterinarian.
No, but here's why he didn't do it before. One, Trump said he only wanted to do it for 20 minutes. Rogan said no. Trump wanted to do it in his venue. Trump, and Rogan's like, no, I'm here. Trump said that there are questions that we should cover that you're allowed to ask me, and that's when there were just too many obstacles where Trump, he's like, you might be an interesting person, but this is not your podcast. This is mine. So the reason why it didn't happen before is because he didn't want to support a political agenda. And everyone was like, "Oh, he had Bernie on." He's like, he had Bernie on way before Bernie declared. So then people the only person that he had on that declared was Tulsi, and he met Tulsi through Jocko Willink, right? Right. And also Tulsi, if anyone watches the UFC, the women's champion at that time, Zali Wang, Chinese chick, had problems with her papers fighting in the UFC Hawaii, and Tulsi Gabbard was a congressperson that got her a work visa to get her to compete in the United States. So of course there's a connection there, right? Jill Stein. Jill Stein's an interesting person. I'd love to see her on the podcast, but it's probably not on his radar, right? It's not on his radar.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
And people need to remember, he's never voted Republican in his life. He might. I mean, there's a lot of us that might vote for Trump this time around. I
don't care what you vote for. I don't care what anybody votes for. Exactly. I don't care what anybody's decision is.
Be a good person
to do that. Just be Just be a person.
Say it with me.
Just be a dude. Just be a chick. Just be a human, and just do what you want to do and vote and stop arguing shit.
I also wanted to talk about, you were talking about like some people with night lights and how it takes a while for them to adjust, and some people do and don't. I'll bring you to Central Park. Central Park in New York has trees over the beach courts, right? So if you're wearing shades, there's this light manipulation because the tree's covering half of the sun. The sun's trying to shine through the trees, and you can't. And mind you, I played there, but when I went back to New York this year, I felt like I was starting all over again as far as like just seeing the ball. These guys are serving lollipops, and and I'm trying not to, and I'm trying not to get licked. Yeah. But
I don't know.
But it's a great. Let me tell you something. If you've ever been there, you're like, yo, this is nice. Yeah.
I've been to Central Park, but I didn't go to the courts.
Yeah,
never,
two of them.
When I played Belmar, New Jersey, and stuff like that, I went and spent a day, like 2 days in New York.
No, the real players don't play in New York. That's just a.
Yeah, I don't. No clue.
It's a recreational setup of like maybe 200 people. Like some of the guys, who live in New York that can't make it to like Belmar or Point Pleasant, they might stick around there. I'll name drop Timothy McNichol. There's a guy named Amari Velasco. Former Gaucho, played for Santa Barbara. He lived in New York. Mike Salek, Seydou's from Ghana, West Africa. So these are some of the guys. But the rest of them, like John Stossel, he works at 2020, right? He's a media guy, and he's 60 years old, and he's out there. He's playing, right? Then you got this guy's a file clerk. This guy's a physician. This guy's a bike messenger. This guy's an attorney, right? And all of them, in some respect, have played former college, indoor, and you get some okay competition, but it's more about a people than a place.
Yeah. Well, that's what most complexes are. Yeah. Things like that, areas like that. That's what it's more about. It's more about the camaraderie. Yeah. It's more about the atmosphere, the vibe. It's a core
intimate
group of people it's a core group of people who from every walk of life come there together. And you could be anything from a garbage man to a doctor to whomever, and nobody even knows. I mean, I had a friend of mine, Mike. I've known this guy for 30 years. I didn't know until about 6 years ago he was a mechanic. I had no idea. I'm like, I need a mechanic. Yeah, I need somebody to help me out.
Let's do it.
He worked for Kass, and he's like, hell yeah, I call him for everything. Didn't know that. Had no idea.
Tell him cash is as good as money.
Absolutely. Take care.
But
a little tax break from the government.
I've been to a lot of places, but very rarely have I seen a setup as intimate as New York, because everyone goes there after work. Some people go there there's a morning crew of people, and at the end of the day, we all sing karaoke together. We all whatever. So it's, I want you to think about like Manhattan Sixes, or think about like Spike Fest or something like that, or whatever's happened in Texas or Houston. Think about something like that. Think about something like that on a smaller scale, but every day. Because here, Hermosa is different. You meet up to play, and and when it's time to go, everybody just leaves. Yeah.
Well, that's what leagues are like. That's what leagues are like at these complexes.
Yep.
There's 4. We have. Well, I'm sorry. White Sands has 4 matches a night on every net.
That's cool.
6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. So you can get there early, and you have an 8:30 game. You can get there at 6 o'clock, start drinking, hanging with everybody you know.
Yeah.
So now you have an evening out. You have an evening with friends and people you see all the time, and it depends on what night. Some people might be there, and the next night it's going to be different people. So you have a different experience at the same place. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to, like, for my Dallas people listening, they told me the Sandbar closed down like 3 years ago or something like that. They're like, where you been, Jason? I wonder if there's something new, and I wonder if there's something going on, because I went to the Sandbar one time, night lights, and that was
Dale's place.
Yeah, I was there for my kids I was coaching boys, and they had nationals in Dallas that year. But yeah, I hope guys out there, I hope y'all are doing well. I hope you have something like that, because community is so important.
Oh, Dallas, they got other places. They got used to be called Yucatan. It's called something else now. But Yucatan, and then another one called Lone Star. There were 2 complexes. I'm not even lying. They were across the street from each other. Literally. Nice. Like, you came out of Yucatan, go across the railroad tracks, and come to the stop sign. You go right across the street, and there's the other place. Craziest thing you've ever seen. So I know that whatever Yucatan's called now, I think that place is still open. I know Dale closed down both of them, Sandbar, and he had another one called Beachcomber, a little more north Dallas.
Okay.
He had to shut that down for COVID.
I
don't know why the other one did. I haven't talked to Dale in about a year. I don't know why the other one, or I don't remember why the other one, why he shut it down. That's another man that's been around. Skylar Dale Davis. That guy's been around for a while. Great player.
Amen.
Great player.
I also take this time to give a shout out to Tom Davenport. Tom Davenport, through some of his connections, made it possible for me to call AVP on court 1. Like center court, the AVP had their people for that or whatever. And me, I was trying to get more commentating opportunities, because I spent a lot of time here building that brand to get those opportunities. Yes. And thank God for guys like him. Like, I did 3 events this year. And 3 events, almost all 3 of them were AVP affiliated, and all of them, the AVP's partner were the ones that asked for me by name. So if they didn't ask for me by name, the AVP has their own people. I wouldn't have done that. Like Ken Kass for Pottstown Rumble, biggest grass tournament of the year. I call that
Yep.
this weekend. And, I made friends and enemies. It was a normal day. It was a normal weekend because sometimes no, because if you
please everybody in this
but
world.
if you listen to the MCs, believe me, anything I said is not even comparable to that dynamic of those dudes are crazy. They're so good and they're crazy. Those dudes are insane. So no, but Ken Kass, right? So Dave and the AVP Denver, I did court 1. Actually I did Evan and Ali San. Against Roschitz and Cano was just such a great gnarly match.
Yeah, I know those guys, Texas guys.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a team that had them? They were up one.
They're good, man.
They were up 1-0 and had 3 match points on Ali San and Evan and.
They're so deceptive. They're both really good, man. Roschitz, is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Steven.
His
Steven
first name?
Roschitz. Yeah, Steven Roschitz.
Yeah. He came to White Sands a handful of years ago, and I watched him. He can hit both hands equally as hard. That's ridiculous. I only know a handful of people to be able to do that in my career that I've seen. Ron Browning was one of them that could do it. It's just a phenomenal thing to see. It's kind of crazy. You're thinking, what? He looks awkward, and wow, what's going on here?
Go ahead.
Anyway, I watched both of those guys play, and they're excellent. I can't imagine, 5 years later, something like that, as to how good they've become. And still doing it. Good for them.
Yep.
Good
and
for them. It's not
they
easy
showed
to
that they can ball.
Stick around.
Now they showed that they can ball. They just have to show that they can finish, because I could have named 5 other matches like that where they were there and they showed the world this is where they belong, and they have leveled up. And now
it's here though.
Yeah.
It's here.
Well, I think
it's right here.
We could definitely get into that conversation about like how many people think, like, you ask a lot of these coaches, like, what percentage do you think of this
still
game?
Still there, Jay?
Yeah, I'm still there. We went out, but we're back in. We went out, but we're back in.
Okay. Yeah, internet connection. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say something really funny.
Cool.
If you ask 10 coaches right now, how much of the game is mental? Somebody's going to say 50%. Some will be, 90%, this and that. And I'm like, how much of your training and practice do you do mental things? And they're just like,
right.
Crickets.
Right. Got to give them homework. They got to do their own mental homework, and you got to be able to display it to them as to how to do it.
Yeah.
If you're not this is my opinion. It's just my opinion. If you're not a player who goes over what you did that day, like on a loop, then you're not going to get any better.
I agree.
You're just not going to. And fixing the mistakes that you see inside of your own head, when you do something wrong, you know what you did wrong. Yeah. Or if you don't know, then you figure it out in your head, and then what you're supposed to do is play the game and do it correct. Do it correct. Whatever the scenario was, and create 2 or 3 correct scenarios instead of the one you did wrong. So now you got 3 different outcomes.
Right.
That you could do positive instead of the one negative that you already know about. Now I have 3 outs on this. Oh, well, I hit this. What did I see? Okay, I saw this. Well, why did I hit there? I should have done this, I should have done this, or I should have done this. So now I have 3 different things on the same scenario. If it pops up or something similar, now I'm thinking positive. To me, that's mental.
Yeah.
That's all mental.
But
okay, you're seeing yourself do something correct in your own head. The more you do that, your brain is just going to take over.
Right.
After that. It's just going to be like, that's what I'm supposed to do, because that's how you're thinking. You've changed your thinking.
Right.
That's part of it. That's your mental part of in-game fixing. Also, you have to be able to do that on the court also. But to start the practice of it off the court is huge. Doing it on the court is harder because your heart rate's elevated. Your mind's thinking about the next serve, blah, blah. And you've got to take that time in between each point. What did I do wrong? How do I fix it? Don't do it again. And move forward. It's over. That's what needs to be displayed to most people.
Well, 2 things come into play. One, the power of self-correction. You learn, as far as retaining the knowledge, you learn more from getting something wrong and correcting because it's the memory of, I remember that and I fixed that, as opposed to just getting everything right the first time around. So self-correction is the first part of that. Second, it's also a testament to why actual coaching is its own occupation, right? We can get any player, any former player that knows X's and O's and knows how to teach, that can see technique and be like, do this, do that. But again, if we can ask all of those coaches out there, or those people that want to be coaches, if you're saying that the percentage of this being mental conservatively is more than 50%, right? Some of them are saying 80, some of them are saying 90, right? And if I ask you, how much of your do you do mental stuff or mental training in your practice or through the process in and out of practice?
It's going to be astronomically lower.
Crickets. So, yeah, but that's why I argue with people. They're like, oh, you can't talk about the game unless you played the game. I'm like, you do know this is a different occupation, right? You do know this is a different occupation. Oh, on another note, by the way, Stephen Roschitz, he played at Motherlode a couple of years ago with John Mesco.
John, yeah.
And I was emceeing.
What a good guy.
Check it out. I was emceeing, and they're like, so, Jay, what do you know about this guy? And I said, if he hurts you with his left, go down.
Because he'll do it with the right.
And then he hit one with his left, and on the mic, I said, "What did I say?"
That's right.
So
it's crazy.
Let's talk about.
He's got hops too. He's got good hops too.
So
good athlete.
I want to do a little nostalgia thing because you're a long-time player. You are and were a true savage in this sport. I would like to talk about some of the games that were not AVP that were just as far as like the venue and as far as the setup, the fans, and most last but certainly not least the level of competition. We talked before about East End volleyball. We talked about Motherlode. In fact, you won a Motherlode, right? You won a chip with John.
Yeah. No, Dale Davis.
You won with Dale Davis.
Yeah.
So cool.
He is the only person to win that event in both big court and small court.
Amen. Nice.
He's the only one. Period.
You know who won this year, right? It was Jeff Samuels with Sam Schachter.
Yep.
Sam Schachter.
Yeah, I saw Sam. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And I know. Obviously, we know.
Yeah, Beanstalk. That's Beanstalk shit.
Yeah, I know. Not this one. This one. I got that one in the closet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Beanstalk's a good guy, but I met Sam through Josh when I played against him in Dallas. And of course, what can you say about Jeff? He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Much deserved win for him. And it's good. It's good to see Sam coming in and playing tournaments like that.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like it's just that's where I met Josh Benstock in 06. Him and Martin Reeder. I met them at that tournament
at a World Series, right?
Look what happened. No, I met Josh and Martin Reeder in 06 at the Motherlode.
Oh, cool.
That's how long I've known him. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how long I've known him. Yep, and then I saw him at this. I think it was one of these that I went out to
in Long Beach. Yeah.
And I hadn't seen him in a handful of years, and I saw him and I went, man, I'm going to talk to this guy. I just walked right up to him. He's like, oh my God, remember my name, everything. Oh my God, Derek, what's up, blah, blah, blah. And I had a bunch of shirts from whoever I was representing in 16, the swag I had. And I was like, man, can I get one of your jerseys? He was like, yeah, he wanted to give me a yellow one. I said, no, it's got to be the red and white one. Come on.
What are you doing?
He said, it's all sweaty. And I went, I can wash it. Come on, man. Red and white Canada? I have to. And then it actually turned in. He came and played Fudge with me. We won Fudge a couple times.
That's awesome, dude.
Really good guy. Really good people.
Wow, man.
But talking about tournaments and atmosphere and stuff like that, I'll bring up Motherlode. That's you've been. That's
my three years in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been 4 or 5 times to it. Yeah. 05, 06, took a year or so off.
Randy went out there for the first time too. Randy went out there.
Stokos. Yeah. Last year.
Yeah. He and I we called it, but
yeah, I saw that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's one of the best scenes that I've ever been. For a beach volleyball tournament. I couldn't even imagine it. 05 when I went there. I mean, I'm coming off of one of the most devastating hurricanes to hit the United States. Katrina hit, the week before.
Right.
I drove. I drove 22, 23 hours to get there. I'm not knowing. I lost everything, the whole deal. And then I walk in. Look, I drove in at night. I've never driven in the mountains in my life at that point. Nothing.
Scary.
I drove in at night. I swear to you. And I'm driving around whatever. What is it? Snow Pass, whatever they call that to get to Aspen, Snow Pass. And I'm just driving, zipping along, whatever. When we leave, I'm looking at the cliffs, going, "What? I was driving up this. I didn't know it was a 1,000-foot drop." But anyway, getting to the tournament, we arrived at whatever time, and I remember just driving into this Aspen. You know, you hear about Aspen. It's rich and it's people.
It's where the billionaires kicked out the millionaires. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. So then you look at around and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm gonna play volleyball here. This is amazing.
It looks like Switzerland.
It does. It's gorgeous there. And then you have even some of the locals. The locals are all okay with it. They really are. They're all they embrace it. They know everybody's coming in town that for Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
It's beautiful, man. And the fans, everybody's a fan. Everybody stays for the finals. Everybody.
Yep.
Everybody.
Encyclopedic knowledge too. Some of these fans are like, I was doing trivia questions and the fans were like, boom.
Sure.
I'll give you an example. I'm like, who's the only male player to win an Olympic gold medal, an AVP crown, and an NCAA championship as a player and coach? Like, they knew right away. Dane Blanton. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause a lot of people say Karch, right? Because it looked like Karch went through the gauntlet and he's the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
But the only male player to hold that distinction is Dane Blanton, and this encyclopedic crowd knew. Like, who's
that's crazy?
Yeah, what?
I didn't know that one.
or give me a gold medalist that never played NCAA indoor and Riley Salmon, right?
That's correct.
They're like, he did play for Pierce, but Pierce wasn't NCAA.
He played for Pierce College.
Yeah, but Pierce wasn't NCAA, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
But yeah, the
phenomenal player that guy was too. Grew up playing against him.
Yeah.
Grew up playing against that guy. I've been knowing him since I'm 17, 18.
Yeah.
Him and Randy Metter used to come over from Houston, and I go over to Houston. Oh, that dude there.
Wow.
Throwing beers back like this, and he's like, "Let's go play." just dominate you.
Talk about a guy with a story to tell, though, right? Talk about a guy with a bunch of stories to tell. Yeah.
He does. He's been there, done that with a lot of things in his life, and hadn't always been easy for him, but he's never stopped. Yeah. He's never quit going. He's never,
Yeah. Hey guys,
he's had his ups and downs.
Guys, episode 95, guys. Episode 95. He was on. We went like almost 3 hours. Yeah.
That guy's amazing. He really is. His story of who he is and what he came from. Baytown of lower, South Houston.
Yeah.
And become this superstar of a volleyball player.
The captain.
The captain of the team. And look, they listed him at 6'6". He ain't nothing but 6'3", 6'4". He's probably 6'4". He's big. No. But if you looked at him back then, you'd think the way he walked, it was this gangly kid walking, and he ain't doing that. He's just Riley. Yeah. He really was.
I like him a lot.
He's a phenomenal guy, and he's got. I will say this: he's got an amazing wife. Okay, She's amazing. She always has been. I've known her for years also, and she calls me her second husband. Yeah. She's just a sweetheart of a woman, and she put up with his shit for a while, and seems like he's doing really good. Seems like he's doing really good with his life and getting things together, and his kids are growing up, and good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah,
I like hearing that.
I mean, it's crazy because people only remember the stories of, like the low points and this and that. So if you only highlight the worst moments, you look at the wife and you're like, oh my God, she's an iron lady, But Riley, we know you're more than that because you wouldn't, because he wouldn't have survived. He wouldn't be alive today if he wasn't more than his worst moments.
Look,
there's no way you lived through that.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, we all have struggles, man. We all have mental struggles throughout our whole life. I've had them. Whatever you want to call them, coming to Jesus moments, spirituality moments where you feel horrible about everything in your life and whatnot. I've been through that. And it doesn't have to be alcohol. It doesn't have to be drugs. It could be just your mental state of what's going on in your life and your chemical balance at this moment of how things are going, the stresses of what's happening, whether you're making enough money, whether you're paying your bills. I don't have kids, so I'm not having to worry about that situation. And my life took a turn a few years ago, probably right after the first podcast we did. And I was in a pretty dark place.
I did that on the road. I'm so glad I did that on. You're the only episode I did that on the road. I brought all of the equipment with me.
yeah, that's right. So but everybody's got a different story. Every one of us. okay? And to say that, to judge that person based upon who they are at this moment, you don't know their whole story. Just leave them alone. Just be cool to that guy, and stop talking about the bull and the sad parts and the whatnot, and lift that guy. Lift that woman, or lift the person that you care about, and make them feel good about themselves. And then ask the hard questions if you're really their friend, and go, how are you? How you feeling? You need to talk about anything? That's what a true friend does. Don't be that guy that just sits there and just, oh, yeah, you're great. Yeah, you're great. And then not being a true friend. You know, like when you and I call, how you doing, man? How's life going for you?
It's a real question.
Real question, because you care. Because we became friends, because we bullshit each other.
That just gave me goosebumps. You talking about that now?
It's sitting on here too. Absolutely. It's because that's real, Jason. That's a connection that you made with another human being. Connection is what just strives this world. It really does. It keeps us going in a great direction. If we lose connection, which we're losing it, everybody's losing it with this. Yeah. See this?
A little bit of it.
This is better than the this into your phone.
Right.
This FaceTime right here. I told my mother this. I haven't done it as much as I said I was going to do in the past year. Sorry, Mom. My bad. Is to have more FaceTime calls with my mom because she doesn't live here. That connection with somebody, just to look into their eyes, it means something. It means something. You really get to see who they are and their expressions and what they mean and what they feel instead of a text. Instead of, it's just better.
But that
it's just better. We need more of that.
But the connection, I agree with you in the sense that the connection instills the empathy that comes with not knowing someone's story, right? Like if you had a better connection with human beings, you wouldn't be so judgy, right? You wouldn't be just looking for someone's worst moments and saying that's who you are, this and that. You said something in the beginning before you talked about connection, like to paraphrase Shannon Sharp, just because you see where someone's standing doesn't mean you know how they got there, right?
That's right.
Maybe they went through this and they went through that, but
that's right.
But you delving deeper into this shows that they can be connected. They should be connected because the empathy of understanding, seeing where someone's standing and not knowing knowing where they get there makes you unassuming in a more positive light. So I hope I'm not too all over the place.
No, you're not. To understand somebody is the greatest form of intimacy. And intimacy isn't just sitting back and it isn't just being intimate with another person. Jason, you and I can be intimate with each other without being gay, okay? It's learning that person. Mm-hmm. It's understanding that person. That's intimacy, okay? Sharing things that you normally don't share with other human beings or asking the questions to find those things out. Mm-hmm. That's, along with connection, is an intimacy with friends, with family, with everybody. Yeah. That is what makes it. That's what makes this world beautiful, is the connection you have with somebody. And then if you can follow it with intimacy, and listen, my girlfriend has taught me so much about this. She is wonderful, okay? I started down this spiritual path on my own, in my own Derek Zimmerman fucked up kind of way, whatever that looks like, right? I'm
find a way to deal. Yeah. I'm
dealing with my things my way, and look, I'm hard-headed and stubborn, but I'm going to get there. And then she came into my world, probably a year after I started on it, and showed me just a different way to see things, in a different vernacular, how to talk to them, to understand it better, to get closer to friends, to get closer to people, to get closer to my mother, which I keep saying this. I love my mother to death. We argue a good bit because we are so close.
Yeah.
That's the person I've known the longest in my life.
Amen.
And it upsets me that we get, off balance some, but connection. That's all I'm going to say is connection with people. And my girlfriend has taught me that and shown me that and made me feel that. I've never been more understood by a human being than her. She knows more about me in 2 years than everybody on the planet.
Pretty good feeling,
because
isn't it?
She asked, it's amazing. She asked those right questions. She dove into it, and she opened herself up too, which created both of us allowing that. Yeah. It's amazing, Jason.
Dude,
if more people would do that in this world, we'd be better off.
Speaking of East Coast and speaking of like different regions, you played East End volleyball before, right?
I played a handful of those, mostly I didn't travel like really up the East Coast.
Just more Florida?
As much as everybody did. Yeah, it was more Florida. It was more like Rich would come and do like this March series because AVP started up in April. So Rich would go down to like the southernmost part of Florida and work his way up through Sarasota, Clearwater Beach, and he'd run, I think, like 4 to 5 tournaments in that month. He'd even have one during the week. And, I mean, everybody went to him. Phil went to him, Nick, Adam Roberts, Matt Heath, all these guys went to him. And it was to get – obviously the weather's good enough at that time, March, down in South Florida. Weather's beautiful. Well, the rest of the country's still a little cool, just not really wanting to play. So everybody would go down those as warm-ups to go play with your partner and try to win some money. And those were great. But the only time I went up north for Rich's tournaments on East End was what was that, Atlantic City, the East End championships that he had every year up in Atlantic City. I think I went to that once or twice. I know I went to it once. I played with John Moran in that.
All right, cool.
Nice. Yeah. But I didn't go up the East Coast, but all the ones they had in South Florida, they were beautiful tournaments. They were good, stacked full of good teams. And then he'd also run a championship down south too. He had one in Clearwater every year. Mm-hmm. I remember I took second in that. Took second in one of those. Yeah, I played with Brett Becker.
Let me ask you a question. Was there a tournament that whatever you did the night before left you the most unprepared for?
Unprepared for what? What do we?
He said, if you got a question, if you want to ask, Jason, just ask. Was I sloshed before a tournament and was it harder?
Listen, man, I played tournaments where I passed out drunk on a Saturday night and had to wake up and play again at 9 a.m. first game and don't even understand how I was standing straight up, or much less play volleyball. Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, coming from New Orleans, was I a drinker? Yeah, I was a good drinker.
It's a regular
I love
night,
drinking beers and slamming beers and shotgunning them. Shit, I used to carry a straw in my back pocket, burn a straw and make a little thing and stick it in it, make a little carburetor. I'd suck a whole beer down in a half a second.
So you were the original inventor.
No, probably wasn't, but I damn sure I took it everywhere with me. I bet people at some of the AVP parties, I bet them. I bet I can drink beer fast. And you're like, what? I was like, cool.
You're like, I wasn't the inventor, but I was.
I throw my burnt straw in it with a little hook on it like this, sticking out from my carburetor. I throw that in and go, you ready? And they're like, you going to drink it out of straw? I said, no, I'm going to whoop. Throw it down.
You're like, I wasn't the inventor.
I've had my fun.
You're like, I wasn't the inventor, but I sure as hell was the pioneer.
I sure as hell utilized it, yeah. I like to party. We like to party down here. And I probably did a little too much of that in my time. I should have put it away a little sooner, but hey, you live and you learn.
That's true.
Yeah, I remember playing Fuds and dude, I don't like I said, passed out, literally. They told me I tripped over somebody, fell backwards, and I landed with my beer still holding on to my chest like this.
That takes skill.
That takes skill. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you applauding my drunken stupidness fall.
You didn't spill a drop, though.
I didn't even know, though, so I don't know how much skill it was. I remember somebody kicking me to wake up. Come on, man, you got to go. I wasn't even in my own room. I had to go find my own room. I had to get my stuff, and I remember just sitting there, cup after cup of water. And we actually won.
Nice.
Go figure that.
Well,
but yeah, I've done some stupid, and it's more along the lines of drinking and partying.
When I played New York and indoor, a lot of us would like to go salsa dancing the night before, right? And for the guys in whom it wasn't their thing. Okay. The indoor gym, some guys are cramping up because they see that like certain players. I'm gonna name my boy Eugene Escoboza. They call him Flaco. He's like a 6'4" middle, but he was really like a true opposite. But we don't have middles in New York, so he had to play middle.
Skinny, huh? Flaco.
Yeah, Flaco. And
my grandmother used to call me when I was a kid.
But there was him and another guy that can go out dancing the night before, and they're good. And then what happens is some guys on our team, right? They see them do that, and they're like, they think they're kind of about that life too, and then next thing you know, they're hamming up, they're hammy.
Yeah.
Right? I'll show something that actually shows. They're all not with this with this puny arm.
I'm not even doing it.
But
I'm so skinny right now.
yeah. So for us, it was dancing, like house music or whatever, and then just try to get like a little 3-hour turnaround, and we'll do that. But not everybody did that. And again, this is sixes, right? So if it's doubles, and if you and your partner do that or don't, you got it right half the time because there's only 2 of you, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Give me a partner that you played with, as far as dealing with your partner is concerned, that you didn't have to deal with. You're going to a tournament, right? Maybe you're going through some drama like off the court, or maybe you're just the drama king on the court. Maybe that's you, right? Give me a partner where you're like, I'm going to a tournament with this guy. Sweet. One less thing to worry about. Don't have to manage the divaism. Don't have to manage him not being mentally, or just a teammate that's like, hey, Derek, all right, I wanted to do it this way, but if you got it not, you know what I'm saying, as far as giving up control and just. So who's the first person that came to your mind as far as like a partner where you didn't have to deal with your partner?
Dale Davis.
Dale Davis. That's a good name.
Dale Davis.
It's a good name.
Dale Davis.
Like Jeff Sammons, I'm gonna call him out. Jeff Sammons is a little bit of a he's not the easiest partner to get along with. He's productive.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
I found that Dale was just like me, like a mirror image of me, except he was the yin to my yang also. Like I was the more aggressive person talking on the court, and he was the more, subdued and just let things come and saw him in a different light than I did. But as in volleyball IQ and knowledge and what to do on the court, I never, ever had to say a thing. We would talk to each other. We had the utmost respect for each other of knowledge and what it is. So it was never it was always a respect. It was always, hey man, what about this? Yeah, let's do that. Or no, not yet. It was just, and then you respected that too. You respected the answer back because of his knowledge. So right. it was such this was also later. This was, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So I've had a number of years on my belt, 10 years of playing ball, already, right? If not plus that, in beach of getting my mental state right also. I've never been a bad partner to anybody. Hopefully. I've never ever strived to be that. I never understood that, like, at your partner, unless they ask you to. Yell at me. Andre Ciancini, the guy I trained also, he would tell me, yell at me. The only way it's going to get through my head. Okay. Well, guess who looked like the asshole out there? Why did he yell at his partner? Why did he do the thing? Okay, you don't know that. But some people like that. But with Dale, there was none of that. There was no need. It was mutual respect, and he was a lefty, and he was just we were same size,
mirror
same
image.
build, mirror
image.
images of each other. We both split block. We both played great defense. He was a better blocker than I was. I was terrible. But defensive-wise, I might have edged him a hair, maybe, but he was excellent. Hand setting, unbelievable. We both could play the game in the same light, just mirror images, him being a lefty. So it was a simple game to play with him, and there was intelligence behind everything that he said and thought about it. And if you break this all down, what's the point of being a nuisance to your partner?
Yeah. It's not that.
What's the point of it?
No, but it's not like that. Maybe like some people, they don't deal with injuries. Some people are playing hurt or whatever, and some people, you have to hear them the whole tournament talk about it, or and there's some players that they don't talk about it at all, right? And so there's the physical part. There's also, like you were talking about, like you know what I'm saying? Like there might be a partner like where like I had a partner where like he got blocked and I didn't cover it. He's like, thanks for covering me, right? You know what I'm saying? So, and it was just weird.
The default to blame the other person.
Instead of, I mean, don't even give me a chance to say, hey, my bad. I didn't even, because I was always the accountability player. I'm always, as a setter, as an indoor setter, every time someone got blocked, I always thought it was my fault. And it's always, the middles are pretty easy. It's just a one ball or whatever. And the biggest deep and the most difficult ball, guys, for indoor people, I'm just going to tell you straight up. My juniors players ask me, what's the most difficult ball in volleyball to set? The red, the back one, the big? I'm like, no, it's the 4 outside. It's the 4 outside because it always involves trajectory, the timing, antenna. If you're out of system, that guy might have 2 blocks, maybe 3, or he might be a diva because the outside hit. There are no divas in any other position in indoor volleyball except the outside hitter.
Yeah.
And they're good. That's why they're called divas, because if they weren't good, we wouldn't call them anything. They're called divas because they're good, right? You got to deal with them, right? So that was
they're in that position for a reason. That's your outlet. That's your main. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? See, like the waves or like the levels I was talking about as far as like having to deal with your partner, right? Like, I had a guy named Kenny in New York. I need a middle I'm going to a tournament. And the only question he has, are you setting? And if I say yes, he's going. Because he knows I'm a middle.
You got a connection with him, you click with that guy.
I'm left-handed.
A handful of people.
Yeah, I'm a middle first guy. Like if I got good middles, I always, even if they're double team, I just really love. I'm also left-handed too, so I also created problems for timing issues with the block, but. He's the biggest diva, mind you. But I'd ask him to go to a tournament. If he asked me who's setting, it's me. He says yes. Mm-hmm.
Nice. I started off playing middles at like 17. I never really played it.
Thankless job, dude. What a thankless position.
I only played it for a handful of years. I wasn't a big jumper either. That was the thing. I was like, why am I playing middle?
Yeah.
But it taught me a lot. I'm also a goofy-footed jumper, which is odd for a middle.
That's rare.
But I got it. But I did well with it. There was a guy named Greg Baquet who was a really good setter from around here. A doctor. He had a brother named Jason Baquet, who was a 6'6" guy, and he had a team called Pellegra, and I played middle for him. And then the beach scene was more alluring to me, and it was just, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to play indoor. And then I found maybe I can set, as I got older. It won't be as strenuous on the knees. Well, was I wrong?
If they only knew. Yeah.
I know now. I did it for years. I ran offenses. I loved it. I love having that type of control of it.
Right.
You're
also matched up against their diva, their outside hitter as a blocker too. So.
Right. And there just wasn't at that time. There wasn't that many real good indoor setters, and that's another reason why. Well, I don't want to hit their sets. Well, let them hit mine. So I'm a good setter. I know I am.
There it is.
Okay, I put a lot of time and effort into it.
That's
to be precise, to be, You have to. You have to. It's a demand of this sport. Put your time in. So I said, well, I can give these dishes to somebody else, right? And that's where I changed my indoor career. From middles and even hitting outside. It was just kind of frustrating because you can't be a good outside hitter if you can't establish a middle. And if you don't have any damn good passers, then you know the whole drill. That's how that works.
Yeah.
But as far as partners, I have always put a good trust into my partners to do their job, always. And if anything I was trying to do was just basically how can I brace you and stand behind you and uplift you? I'm not trying to be there to tear you down. We're a team. It's just never made any sense to me to be any kind of negative unless you ask for it.
Right.
Unless you ask for it.
Well, they don't. Well, it's almost involuntary, right? Like no one's going into a tournament and saying, "Let me find a way to be the biggest pain in the ass for my partner." Right?
Or to lose.
Derek Zimmerman. Derek Zimmerman. He's in a good mood. I'll show him. Right? Nobody's going into a tournament like that. So I get that. We're just more about the cure instead of diagnosing.
But there are those toxic volleyball players. That they bitch about everybody but themselves on the court.
Yep. And that's.
I don't have to say much more about that. I've just been lucky not to have that. Joey Middlebrook's the guy I played with. Incredible person. Yeah. Incredible person. Traveled all over the place with that guy. Easy to play with also. Right. Hands of gold, The only problem that I think we had was just a little bit of weight issue with Joey in his younger years. That's how it works, Let's see, Gaston McCall from Fort Lauderdale. I never had to worry about that guy at all. He was solid.
Yep.
Solid. I qualified with him a few times. Joe Rohr. Joe Rohr was another one I played a bunch of tournaments with.
Nice.
And I went and played Aspen with him. He wound up getting hurt, pulled his Achilles there.
Yeah. I think Adam Roberts too. Like Adam Roberts, he's Mr. Time. As far as getting along with our partner, we don't have to worry about your partner. Adam is.
He's probably played with more people than anybody else. Think about it. That guy's, look at his partner history list over the past 25 years.
Looking at his
incredible.
Now I know the BVB page doesn't tell like the whole story clearly, but his starts in 2002 or something like that. So you're talking 22 years of
he was around right at the same time as me.
Two generations.
He used to play all those tournaments and
yeah.
He's been around a long time. Adam's a great guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've known Adam a long time. I catch up with him every once in a while. It's been a handful of years and I've talked to him. You know, usually if there's a hurricane on the East Coast at Myrtle, I'm giving him a holler. How you doing, man?
Yeah.
How's the mom and dad? You know, I know their house is right on the beach. You know, and hopefully with all that stuff they do well. He's reached out to me too. Same thing.
Yeah, he's been good guy, in New York.
But he's got to be somebody who's easy to play with, or everybody wouldn't play with him.
Yeah.
The word would be out.
I met Adam in 2002. He was in New York at the time, right? So my friend Aldous, this ex-UCLA guy, is like, hey, I got a guy named Adam who's in New York or whatever. Take him to Dominican Fours. This is this place uptown where like Monday and Wednesday is free volleyball in Riverbank State Park, indoor gym, paid for by the state, right? And you have two courts. You have one court where it's four on four. Almost everyone in the gyms from Dominican Republic. Almost seems, and a lot of them don't even speak English. And the rule is, if you could take care of first hit, you could play. They don't care how tall you are. If you're 6'9", you can't take care of first hit. They make you play with the girls in the other court. So Adam comes and I'm like, he's like our third or our fourth, and I'm like, it'd be nice if I had a middle. Adam's like, I'll play middle. I'm like, I need you to receive serve though, and he's like, I'll do both. So the guy's passing the ball from like deep position 6, gives himself enough height, space, momentum, runs the quick set off of a ball that he had to pass over the top from the OH. And I'm like, we're going to get along, dude. You know, I mean, I
played a 6-man indoor team where 2-man serve receive, and I was hitting middle serve receive.
Yeah.
Because our guys couldn't pass. Yeah, it was horrible. It sucked, but I get it. It was tough.
And all they could do is encourage you. They got to pull that reverse psychology on you. Right. Great job. Great. So you don't get mad at them. Great job, Derek. Great job.
But look at what Adam did. Look at what Adam did.
Yeah.
He just did it. You don't question it. You just do it. You figure a way and you find out.
Yeah.
It's for the love of the game and to make things easy for everybody else. So you're bending a little bit to make everything work.
Yep. Glad he had a chance to play.
That's what this game is about.
He had a chance to play with Jeff too. I think they spent most of it, if not all of the whole season last year together. Manhattan Beach.
Last year or the year before?
2023. They played Manhattan Beach together. They took a 9th. And they played the Motherlode together.
Did they do Seaside?
Maybe.
I think it was Seaside. I think they lost to Evan. Is that right?
Maybe.
Was that last year or the year before?
That might have been the year before. No. I just remember Evan not making the main draw in Atlanta and then flying to Seaside like overnight the next day.
But he played Adam. Who did Adam play with then?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But Adam and Jeff played Wapaka. They played Motherlode together. They played Manhattan Beach. And that was probably last year. He played the beginning with Rafi Paulus because I was there. They made the main draw. I was coaching. They made the main draw in Huntington Beach. A 16 versus 1. So that wasn't him. That was Rafi. But Adam and Jeff were a good team. I really like that, and I really like that Jeff. That Jeff for a change finally had someone that played with him that was as good as him or better. Right? It's very rare. Sam Schachter was. I mean, this is what happens when Jeff has a partner that's as good as him or better. He wins.
Absolutely. Well, that's what you try to do. That's what you try to do. You should never try to play with somebody who's less than you. Got to be your equal, if not better.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
So there was a double hit rule introduced to indoor NCAA, but we're not going to talk about that because we don't care. No. So that was part of my notes or whatever. Do you care? No, I mean.
Do I care? No, I don't care about the indoor game, but I care about the game as a whole. And usually what happens when you start messing with things from indoor, they trickle on through the beach.
It's a matter of time. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you hear about something like that, I kind of just go, I have a little bit of a cringe about it because it's like, why do you keep taking away from the perfectness of the game? Why do we keep doing that?
Yeah.
It went from you can indoor. Let's do is receive, serve, open hand. So you took
Remember
away
that
from
2001?
the perfectness of
Remember
a platform,
that 2001?
right?
Yeah.
Right. The perfectness of the platform, and being that's a skill. This to me it's not a skill because you're not actually setting it and not doubling it. You can just push it and throw it, right? So that dumbed the game down, in my opinion, for the perfectness of it. To have the highest skill at it, it takes one element and just notches it down, and that's what it seems like they're just constantly chipping away at it, like the net. Well, now we have it can trickle over. Okay. Well, tennis is like that, but it's a reserve if it trickles over.
Right.
I think it should have gone that way.
Right.
My opinion. I think they should have done it exactly like tennis. Exactly. Because if it trickles, okay, cool, you get one more shot at it. Now you can take something off of it. Let's go.
Right.
It would have been easier to try
because you don't want to lose the
first
point. Because you don't want to lose the point.
Did.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose the straight down trickle over. That's the hardest ball to get in volleyball now. Right. So that dumbed the game down just a tear. And then you're going to start messing with handsets and doubles. Yeah. Okay, so we took out the precision of the passing, and we went to this. And now we're going to take this precise thing, and we're going to chip away at that too.
Yeah.
And not only chip away at it, just take it out of existence. Okay, so what's the only call you can make now on hands is a lift? This is it? They've been doing that for years. And this is the symbol now for a shitty play. That's all I have to do. No, shitty play.
My problem with this now, my problem, since we're going to stay with this, my problem with it is threefold. Yeah. One, there's a group, a room full of people, 40 people, right, that say they had a rigorous discussion and rigorous debate and before they came to this decision. My problem is a lot of those people are associated with high-level volleyball, and all of these rule changes do not affect the highest level. Right. For example, when first hit became double first contact 2001, that didn't affect the highest level because they were going to forearm pass anyway. And now second hit's legal for a double. The highest level is not going to train their kids any differently. They're going to train. So the least affected by it is going to be the highest level. It's going to affect lower levels, and it's going to affect new player interest, because if it doesn't look like a sport and it looks like a game equivalent to Parcheesi, they're not going to have respect for the game. So that's one.
It seems like what that is you're taking something out of the referee's hands, which what every organization is trying to do is get the referee out of it.
I think if good referees do that on their own. I think good refs do that on their own. There's an old saying: if you don't know the ref's up there, he's doing his job. I think good refs do that on their own. Right, so maybe
I can agree with that.
Maybe stop hiring.
But who's making this? All right, then bad refs making those choices. Because what's the point of taking it away? But then they say, well, what's the point of it being in there? Mm-hmm. Well, because that's the rules of the game. So that's just how it is.
So the second issue I had.
What's your second thing? Yeah, absolutely.
In 2001, the referees were not properly trained on the distinction between what a double hit was and what a throw was. Right, you just did this motion on camera like this, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's a throw, but to some refs, for serve receive, someone jumps in the air, they're doing that. That's a double, right? So now they're now protecting a carry, which under the rules should still be illegal. And then in 2001, second hit became more lenient because of first hit. And now what's going to happen? Third hit, which is not protected by those rules, is going to be more lenient. So like you said, it's slowly sliding into this thing. So my problems were, one, the people that made this rule and discussed it knew that that their association were the least affected by it. Two, they're not going to protect other rules. It's a slippery slope to not protecting other rules that make it a sport, that keep it a sport. And three, you got to let refs do their job. You watch because they're going to stop calling carry on second hit now. They're going to stop. They're going to say, no, that wasn't a carry. That's a double, because you're going to make refs lazier. You know what I'm saying? So, I
just don't know why they're dealing with it. I don't know what they're doing, man.
But I will say this, and the only reason why I said this, because I watched Wisconsin. I watched some indoor games. In fact, I called LMU. LMU played UNLV. I actually called that match. It's an indoor match. It was a home match for LMU. And I didn't even notice the doubles on second hit because it was a high-level Division I game. So you know, so the keen eye, like if you're purist like you and me, you're like, oh, that kind of slipped out on the end. On the end,
Sure.
that kind of slipped out of one
end.
hand. That's a little bit of a double, right?
Right.
But it's something that you really don't pick up unless you're a purist. So I knew that the highest level, you know, like if you said, someone in the crowd's like, that's a double. Everyone next year's like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, and you feel like you're the only one in the gym that knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. Look, I've reffed a lot of things. I've reffed a lot of leagues and stuff like that, obviously, you know, since I'm 18 and, you know, been out at White Sands and Coconut for years reffing. And I honed that because I enjoyed doing it. I reffed a bunch of FUDS finals, too. And I found that nobody really wants you to be that strict.
No.
You got to think about it. Now, this is hear me out. This is a big tournament, 2 of them every year. People stick around and watch, like the Motherlode, okay? And these people are very volleyball knowledgeable. They're very savvy in it. They understand. They see everything you're seeing. And you can take some hell being that ref around that. You really can. You know, people start getting on you. Boo, what the fuck are you calling? The whole thing.
Chowder!
They don't understand. Right. What they don't understand, though, is before the match, I'm sitting there looking at both. I mean, I know all these guys that I'm reffing, and it's the reason why I did it. It's because I don't have a foot in the game. I don't care. I don't care who wins. Even if I played before that and you beat me, I don't care. I'm that referee. I will call it as honest and perfect as I can. And I would tell these guys, listen, I'm not going to be stupid, ridiculously tight on doubles. I'm not going to. Okay? So you might think that yours was a little bit less or a little bit, this one's more on the double thing. Give me about 5-6 points before I can understand your hands at this moment of the day, and we can come to a balance here of what I'm going to let go and what I'm not. And every one of them respected the hell out of it. Every one of them. Okay? But I'm putting the ground rules down first. Boy, but I tell you what, if I were to call doubles, you want me to call doubles? Okay. I'm going to call every double that you do. There wouldn't be a game. There wouldn't have been a game.
In fact, sometimes. The first set of
it would have been lopsided on one side. It would. So
I think the first set would probably be
bad
clean.
Players. Hold on. Let me say this first. Let me say this first. It's not the fact. I'm not trying to say these guys are bad. I'm not trying to say they suck. I'm not trying to say any of that. Okay? We're talking high-level volleyball here. I'm just talking that if you want me to call it perfect, you're not perfect.
Agreed.
Okay? You're going to make mistakes. So let's go with a little leniency on this. I'm not going to sit there and say, no, we're not going to call doubles, because that's just asinine. That's not this game.
Right.
But can we be more lenient and have a better understanding of where to keep the match? Yes. But that's not the case with all this, because you've got different levels of referees who aren't all on the same page.
Right.
And that's why I continued to ref that for years, because I was consistent every time I refed it.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. You need somebody who's going to consistently do the same job.
100%.
Every single time. And that is the biggest argument in all of this, is the referees are different, but they're not trained to be exactly the same, because their perception of what a double is different.
Ask any trained referee, and I've had 3 of them on the podcast. I had actually I just had Dave Carson. He just recovered from surgery. He had cancer. He recovered from cancer.
Wow.
But that's a whole other story, and that's a podcast to watch, guys. Tune in on that one. That was a couple episodes ago.
Sure. Good guy too.
And I had Matt Laveau, who played, Northridge guy who's been a career referee, and I got Troy Gravitt, young guy, part of the new generation of referees with Renee or whatever, just this great generation of just people just trying to hone their craft and make sure they stay the hell out of the way and let people play volleyball, which I speak for both of us, is a good thing. So two important things. One, on a general level, just on a universal level, a double is not how the ball comes out. It's how it comes in. Ask Deanna Shiner, ask Matt Laveau, ask every referee, because there's a myth, because there's a catch and throw, because people are trying to look for the immaculate spinless ball. But it's how it comes.
It's both.
No, it's how.
It's
but
both.
no. Well, I mean, there's a general indicator. Like if you see side spin where a referee missed how it comes in, the side spin might indicate that it came in one hand and out the other, right? But forward, backward spin, that's 2 hands. That's a 2-hand contact, right? And that has nothing to do with spin, and that's a legal hit. Also, guys like you, guys like Phil, can have one ball come in one hand and out the other, and it doesn't spin because your craft, the art of you being a good setter.
Absolutely.
Everyone,
Absolutely.
like, no one calls it, and you smile at the crowd, and you guys had this communication like, yeah, I got away with one because it didn't spin.
There's a handful of those balls where you're turning your chest to the net.
Yeah.
And it hits this hand before this hand. You're pushing it this way, so it's here, there. And who the hell's seeing that?
But your craft is so good.
Yeah.
Phil has that. Phil does that a lot.
Absolutely. Great hands.
I mean, the only guys I know that don't do that is Skylar Dole freaking Sol or Rafa Rodriguez, or just like guys whose hands are just
Skylar's got great hands too.
Fluid, probably the best hands in the game domestically, right? I mean, he's the most talked about setter, right? No, but my point is, as a general rule, not with your league, because that was my second point. My first point is, as a general rule, it's how it comes in. And if the referee missed how it comes in, there might be a side spin indicator that it came in one hand, out the other. Now, my second point is, and this is the most important thing, it's 10 times more important than the first point.
Is it on the same lines as in and out, coming in and out of the ball?
No, well, in and out is a carry. You know.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, you can have the double on the way in because it hits right left.
But once it comes in, it's a double. How it comes out is irrelevant.
Hold on, but if a ball can also come in here, and you can push too much with one hand than the other also.
That's legal.
And that's a double. It's a double.
Well, if you take it this way and you release like that, it's also a lift. It's both. Because the ball, under the rules of volleyball, it got carried, or thrown, and by that criteria,
well, that's every set.
And we could check all three boxes, and we could check all three boxes on that one, right?
right.
Hey, for the audience listening, sorry we held you up, audience listening. We could have talked about this from the beginning. This is juicy. So we weren't going
to talk about this, but here we are.
But here's my second point, and this is the most high IQ thing I've ever heard a rep say: check with your league. FUDs, right? You have a production meeting, be like, look, we'll forgive a little bit of spin, but an obvious double's an obvious double. Yeah. You know that going in, I don't want to hear none of that nonsense, right?
And there's no questions.
Check with your league. Oh, how about this? Fun fact. We were talking about serve receive, first hit, right? Big secret, everybody. And everyone's going to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, but you need to check your rule book. Get ready. Wind up. Hold on to your seats. First contact on serve receive for indoor or outdoor has never been illegal. First contact it's only been illegal to double it or carry it. And the only reason why old school guys didn't do that is they had enough respect for the game. They didn't have enough hair in their or whiskers on their chins to do that, because they know a referee's just going to blow the whistle, and even if it's clean, they're going to make up a call because there was a principle thing happening.
You can't do that.
But yes, there's a you can't do that
that's right.
Unofficial handshake thing going on. But the actual fact of the matter is, and anyone Google search volleyball rules and pictures. I actually have the book, and maybe on the edit. On this edit, I'm just gonna put a picture up what it looks like. They have a picture of what it looks like and the rule, the blank point this. You know, they have the actual rule and what it looks like. So my point is, and CBVA, by the way, wrote into their rules. My point is, when I said check with your league, great example. CBVA wrote into their rule book, you cannot receive serve with your hands. Period. We don't care. We don't care what it looks like. So why? Because that's their league. And you know what? You and me, we're old schoolers. We're like, yo, between you and me, we're like, that is
hell yeah.
I don't right? That Dr. Dre and Snoop song, right when they sign that and they write that into the rules, la 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 la, right, la 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 la, like that Thug Life thing, right?
That's funny.
Picture Dane Selesnik, right, writing into the rule book.
Who runs the CBVA? Is that
I don't know, but I see Dane Selesnik there all the time, and I know that guy don't like me, but I like him.
Chris Brown.
Chris, Wilson or Brown.
Does he run that?
Yeah. God bless them. It's that God bless the discipline that it takes to run a league that many years and still stay afloat and still do their thing. They survived AVP bankruptcies. Big up to that guy. CBVA, big up to you guys for keeping it afloat and alive and engaging, and big up to you guys for writing into your rule book that is a no-no. That is a no-no, and you did that for
guys
like Derek. You did that for guys like me, and every other old fart, white hair in their chest, sit in their beach chair, can't get up from their beach chair, get off my lawn, mother. So
you can't see those white hairs. What are you talking about? Don't do it, Jason.
I know, yeah, dude. I mean,
I'm only 50.
Dude, this podcast is fun until I started doing that, right? No, but that you get. So that was my second point, right? Like Pottstown Rumble is big court, right? Side out to 15.
Right, side out big court.
Because
that's what Fudge is too.
Because that's their rule. No, but that's their rule, and as long as
that's their rule, no let serve.
Right, and that was my point. So I did the general rule.
That is a good thing.
The universally recognized
for a referee
rule.
To tell you.
Yeah.
That is a good thing for them to tell you. Is check with the league that you're playing in, whoever you're reffing. Go talk to that person.
And
what do they call? How do they call it?
Yeah.
And because it is a regional thing or it is a tournament-based thing, just like FUDs. I mean, if we were to call FUDs like they used to call the ABP back in the day, I'm telling you, none of these guys would ever.
They'd be bump setting.
Mid-90s ABP.
Yeah.
Nobody's putting their hands up. No one. That's why those guys didn't.
Yep.
That's why none of them did. That's why they all were bump set kings because they didn't want to lose the point. Just in case.
But that had to be the most tight decade in the history of beach volleyball. Dude, you could bump you could bump set something and they'd be like, did that rest in your forearms too long? I'm like, well, just shut up.
Did it hit the left or the right one first?
You didn't lose your cool. You're like, shut the up. Shut
up. You looking for now.
Make it stop.
Right. Yeah. Look, some of those guys. I remember there was a guy named out of. I'm trying to think. It was Houston or Dallas. Steve Simpson.
Right.
And he moved from Texas to California, and he played on the ABP. He did pretty well. And the man never, ever, ever hand set a ball, ever.
Nope.
And I'm sitting there going, "Why don't you hand set?" And he goes, "There's no reason for it."
Yeah.
And I went, "What do you mean there's no reason for it? You are way more precise." He goes, "If I lose a point, it's not good."
Right.
And I went, "But so you're afraid then?" He goes, "No, I'm not afraid. I'm just smart." So he had a different tactic to the whole game. That was a whole different tactic to the game than what there is now.
Right.
The game now is hands first, bump set second.
Right.
You need to get good at hands.
Yeah.
Period. But that wasn't their mentality back then.
But look at our last two gold medalists on the women's scene, right? Like Alex and April. They won a gold bump setting, right? Look at Anna Patricia and Duda, right? They break out their hands maybe once or twice an entire match. They won the gold bump setting. Look at Ricardo, right? Who as far as the old school.
Look at Alisson playing with Evan. He don't hand set.
No, but you know what I'm saying. But look at like I will get to Alisson, but look at Ricardo, who is a two generational player.
Yeah,
got the gold, got the silver, got the bronze. No hands, right? John Hayden, right? And
you're also talking about old school guys from that era too. They're part of that era.
But old school,
it's hard to take that out and ingrain that in yourself.
Old school winners too. We can mention a whole bunch of people. These are true winners, and I mean like John Hayden's top of the food chain. Ali Song you just mentioned, right? Won 2008 with Bruno Oscar Schmidt. So you're
look at
right.
Karch though.
Yeah.
Look at Karch went through both of those.
Yeah.
Okay. And Karch later in his career, Karch put his hands on everything.
Yep. Indoor setter. Yeah.
Well, a setter is a guy who took and he worked at it to make sure because I'm sure his indoor setting is, he had to hold on to that beach ball just a hair longer.
But it had a lot to do.
He had a quick release. but it was, but he still did is what I'm saying. He made the transition from the bump setter to the hand setter because when they stopped calling it as tight, it could be done.
I don't think. There was a mixture of stop calling it, but people also need to take into consideration the type of ball, right? There was a faster release because the Wilson Optics is a significantly lighter ball than the Spalding Top Flight, right? The international guys were trained on the fast release. If you've ever played with the Mikasa, and you have, in fact, the Motherlode, dude, nobody even jump serves because that ball just gets away. It's a luff.
Well, it's not
altitude training too.
Altitude, yeah.
But my point is, nobody's gonna deep dish that if your release from up here gives the hitter their peripherals from, the blocker. The bump set gives that to you too. But once the bump set goes from here to here, your peripherals come here, and sometimes they don't come back. It's only limited to the block and some of the defenders. So where here, your lens is wide and it's here, right? So this is the way a lot of people are training their juniors. Instead of having to do this.
Yeah. This is how much I'm a nerd about volleyball with Dale Davis. We would sit at tournaments and we'd write down who was bump setting and who was hand setting, and we do percentages on it. We wanted to know, because people are like, oh, you ain't no different, So, okay, show this.
Cool.
We started writing it all down as how many times you bump set, and in that bump set, was it as precise as the hand set was, and what was the outcome? And it was by far better to hand set the ball because you were more precise and you sighted out percentages-wise more.
Yeah.
So if there's anything to anybody that's listening to this who's young, old, whatever, hand setting is way better than bump setting, period, because you are more refined with these two hands than you are with just these forearms. That's why these things are here.
Yep. That's how
it works.
But people talk about international hands and how they're loose. Watch an entire match. Like, even by their own standards, like the ball's not allowed to spin. Find me 4 balls in an entire international match that's going to spin. That they're not spinning either. It's just a release that they're not used to. You know?
And it's a lower level problem. They're taking this, like you said earlier, the only people who are going to suffer are the lower end people on this. Right. And for what reason? Just let them get good at it. At the skill, that's what it is. All right, so what are we going to do here? Okay, so Shaq can't make free throws. Okay, so for free throws only, we're going to have a special rim that's going to widen out so that you can make more free throws.
Yeah. Let's make the strike zone a little wider for home runs. Yeah.
So that's right. Well, we're going to make an unofficial line. We're bringing it, but you can catch the ball past it. It's still an out. But if you hit it over this line now it's a home run. It's just stupid shit like that. They're just trying to. It just doesn't need to happen. That was a bad example.
Amen. No, it's a great example.
You can cut that fucker out of there.
No, that's a great example. No, because if you're gonna call someone a dominant force, and the crowd is cringing at the free throw line. You want to change the rules so you can be right about him being a dominant force, or do you want to be is this about being right or wrong, or is this about someone being a complete player, or someone honing their craft and respecting the game?
Right. Sorry, Shaq will never be the best ever.
No.
That's part of the reason.
No. If you're following him so you can catch up, if you're following someone so you can catch up. Where the league wants to change the rule on that to protect guys like that, something's wrong with the conflicting forces of the entertainment value versus people who want to watch a game where it takes actual skill to play it instead of just brute force. Which is something they're trying to change volleyball into, which are just stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we're going to see where this goes and how it plays out.
Yeah. But so far, I don't notice it. But then again, I've only watched the high level matches. I haven't watched a Division III match, and I will. The CUNYs is coming up, like the City Universities is Division III, and that's like Baruch College or whatever. So I'll watch. I'll keep a close eye on that when the finals comes. But I've only watched high level NCAA games, and it's only in the NCAA because high school, the double hit still applies, and on a professional scene the double hit still applies. So this is just them experimenting something where they think they're going to set a precedent for the rest of the world, because we've been doing that the last 2 decades.
So what is that going to show these young ladies and young men who are coming up in their earlier lives of volleyball? How is that going to help? How is that going to help develop this game?
I think the only reason I can think of is just makes more people braver with their hands. But their solution and mine are infinitely different. Like, my solution is have 4 juniors tournaments a year where you don't call hands. Call it the no hands tournament. Let them chuck.
Man,
chuck
is the answer to all of that.
No, but let them be in a real game situation where they just chuck the heck out of it. Just 4 tournaments a year. 4 times a year.
Practice? Isn't that practice, Jason?
Yes.
So then why don't they just practice that? Just don't call doubles at practice and go, hey, after the play, go, hey, that was a double.
Well, just change the name.
Just keep playing.
Just all right. Just call
when you're at practice.
We'll change the name.
Do it at a tournament.
Change the name then. Let's change the name of it. Call it the no hands practice with everybody from every region, right? Don't call it a tournament.
Okay,
just change the damn name.
I hear you.
Right? Because you can practice amongst yourself, but if iron sharpens iron, what if your blade is dull, right? You need to practice it against different people from different regions, whether they're better or worse. Different is the key.
So let's do this though. What is the non-doubling call during a tournament? How is it going to make anything any different? Whether you're playing against somebody or you're not.
It's true.
It doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So the practice is where it is.
Yeah.
You need to practice it correctly.
But that's what I meant about the tournament. Like I meant the tournament as a practice tournament. Invite a whole bunch of kids, different regions, and beach. I was with beach volleyball national events. I was a color commentator, and Duran Forbes, who's the director, I coached her club team endless summer, and she had 4 tournaments called the No Hands tournament. And the tournament shouldn't have been the operative word because you made better sense out of it. It shouldn't be a tournament. It should be practice. But that's what it looked like because it was just pool, right?
Right.
There were no playoffs, so it was just pool. So it was
just playing games to get practice in,
and that's what it was
we've
like.
Done a few of those,
That's what, like that. And I really like that.
But here's like what could be really good about a tournament like that. I just thinking about it, it'd be like, our coaches got to stay on the bench and they blah 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 blah. I think there should be in a tournament like that or a thing like that. It shouldn't be a coach. Don't even worry about the other team. Don't even really worry about the score because it's just a practice tournament, right? Then the coach should be kind of up close to the sideline and be able to talk to their players and be right there, even walk near the court or on it. It should be just a little more lenient, okay? Then when it gets to a tournament time, we need to be, because it is practice. Because you've coached.
Right. Yeah.
I'm almost literally standing on the hip of one of my girl in 5 sometimes. Like, I've walked out there and I'm scoot over a little bit more. Yeah, one step right there. Stay right there. And I'm standing on the line myself. I'm in the court because I'm trying to show them where they need to be and stuff instead of talking to them. So, I kind of like maybe a practice tournament in those lines.
I'd love to have one tomorrow.
Not so many rules where the coach has to sit on the bench and be in your box and you can't stand up. And we're there to teach.
Right.
We're there to teach.
And sometimes you got to teach faster than most. Like right now I'm coaching boys. I'm actually back on the boys scene for Evolution. And they gave me like a 2s team for 14s, right? And it was just like an extra team of kids. It's an interest team, right? So I have a tournament tomorrow and I only had 4 practices. And the first practice, it was a team that couldn't serve over, and if they could serve over, they couldn't defend. And on serve receive, they couldn't pass. And even if they could pass, there was no one that could set. And by some miracle, someone could set, there was no one there to hit it. So it was I felt bad for the kids because me trying to cram as much information as I could was God, I'm like, God, they're still back. They're still here. They must good. I did my job. They're still interested in the sport. Because rotation, right now they're watching YouTube videos of a 5-1 rotation. I just sent them a YouTube video and I just want them to loop it. And then I'm going to write names. Do you know what I did? I had 4 blocks, like the Amazon boxes that we get delivered. I saved the boxes and I took a white piece of paper and I I printed MBOH on these blocks and I put the blocks on the floor. So I did 6 rotations with the serving team. I'm like, when you serve, stand behind that box. And they're still going the wrong way. And I'm like, dude, you have if I assign, I'm like, if you're an OH, what's your position? OH. Just stand behind where the box says, find the box that says OH and stand behind that. And we did that. I did that for an hour last night.
You kind of had me confused on it. Now I understand exactly what you're saying, but I get it now. Okay.
Yeah, it was basically a box, right? You put this on this. Put it on the floor.
You put it on the side of it, right.
And when you're we did just 6 rotations as a serving team, not serve receive, because that was a whole nother thing.
There's a whole nother deal. Yeah.
Serve and then stand behind the thing that's on the floor, because I put it on the floor 6 spots.
Sure.
And I'm like, dude, at some point I'm like, dude, the only thing left to do is for me to give you a piggyback ride and drop you off at the spot. So, and here's the good news, and you'll love this.
It's going to be interesting tomorrow, for sure.
We're smiling because you and I have coached all kinds of teams, right?
Sure.
I'm not trying to sell my resume, but I coached 3 teams into the main draw, right? And I coached 1 team to an AVP championship in San Francisco, or Rafu, right? So I know how to coach. Division 3, I got a Division 3 team to the Final Four, right?
I have a national championship.
High school team, right? Yeah. No, but high school team. Madison Square Garden gave me Coach of the Year in 2014 for our high school team. So, but every now and then, we get a team like this and we're like, it's frustrating because sometimes you're a prisoner of the moment, but you leave like, I freaking love this. You're putting in some real work and the kids are still interested. You feel good.
Here's the joy.
Go ahead.
Here's the joy you're going to get from it too. The joy is when it clicks for them.
Yes.
That aha. Oh, and you go, yeah, that. You got it. And then they go, oh, yeah. Even if it's the littlest thing like rotation. Even if it's just that still feels good. I got through to him. I figured out a way to get through that kid, that person, whatever it is. How to serve overhand, whatever.
Coaches
feeling
out
of
there.
A hit, whatever.
Coaches out there, are you listening to this man? Are you listening to Derek Zimmerman right now? Because we all agree. We have if you coach long enough that you know that once this kid knows it, he can't unlearn it. He might play a different sport 10 years from now and still knows what serve receive in this rotation or whatever row, because I just learned rows in California a few years ago. I didn't know what the hell a row was, but you don't. I can tell by your face, but once you learn it, it stays with you forever. It stays with you forever, and that's such a joy as a coach when, like you said, the kid through self-correction and realization,
and self-analyzing.
It's
self-analyzing. I taught that.
You can't pay for
with
that.
My girls.
You can't pay for that.
I taught
good
that
time.
Hugely.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't know how to coach my first year. I had no idea how to coach. I trained a couple of people, stuff like that. But coming in to coach, so I basically said, how do I want to be coached?
Yeah.
How do I want to be talked to?
Yep.
How do I want this done for me? And that made it just simple.
Yep.
It really did, because I cared enough about them to not have a bad feeling. And to have an understanding, this is just a game, but once you start getting it, it's going to be fun. And that's it. And that they're trying to learn, and they're kids. And they're trying to understand you, but they're children. And the way that you say things might be how it inputs into them easily. And that's it. Have some grace with them, have an understanding with them, and have some patience. And once they get it, it's going to be something they're going to love forever. And if you do that, they're going to remember the out of you, and they're going to love you for it. And I don't talk to all my kids, but I have a couple of them that still call, and it means a lot, And once that thing clicks, though, and you see that progress in them, it gets all good feeling inside, It makes it worth it. It makes the time and the effort and the minimal pay, or even if you're getting paid for it, but your time and effort put in there is wonderful feeling. Wonderful.
That's a mic drop moment. I shouldn't have even had you on a split camera on that one. That was Derek. That was a single camera moment, and I'm not going to talk after that. I got to know when to just speak and shut up. That was
say whatever you want.
But that's something for the volleyball faithful. I would like to leave it that. Let's do lightning rounds before we get out of here.
Oof.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Get me nervous. Get me all sweaty inside.
I'm gonna do one better. I got a 60-second countdown clock.
Oh, don't put a clock. That makes it how you just made it worse.
This is gonna be great. Sorry, let's unplug it and replug my thing back in. And if it doesn't work, then we just won't do the clock. Come on.
Yeah, do a guesstimate
there it is.
on
Got it.
We don't need a clock.
There it is. Boom. 60 seconds.
Oh, I see it.
Ready? And here we go. Favorite comedian?
Oof. Shane Gillis at the moment.
Gillis. Oh, come on.
At the moment.
I love it.
At the moment.
Last good book you read.
Oof.
I don't freaking read.
It's been a while since I read a book, man.
I don't read either.
Yeah, it's been a while since I read a book.
All right,
it's been
cool.
a handful of years. So.
Oh,
yeah.
last good movie you watched at home or the theater?
Oof. I saw. I think the movie's called the Cabin.
Okay.
Saw it about 2 years ago. I think it's called The Cabin.
Nice.
Wow. Oh, are you getting a phone call?
Yeah, I gotta. That's so weird. I gotta decline that.
I saw
There goes
that.
our
That's
clock.
crazy.
No, that was Aaron Wexler. I'm gonna call him later. Aaron Wexler, Coach Wexler, big up on our countdown.
I know that name.
Marvel or DC?
Don't watch either.
Pool or beach?
Shit. That depends on the day.
Are you trying to run out your own clock?
No. You can keep going with questions. Pool or beach? Shit. Fuck. That's terrible.
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter? Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Fuck no. Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Bourbon, tequila, or vodka?
Ooh. All of the above.
Nice.
I don't drink anymore. I quit drinking. Man.
Good for you. Favorite sport favorite sport outside of volleyball?
Whew.
You're like, there is none.
I would probably not to play would be baseball.
Okay.
Favorite sport to watch?
Spectate
besides volleyball? Probably basketball.
I love me some Buffalo Bills, man, and I love me some MMA. So here's a cool one.
Yeah. Yeah. MMA is good. I don't see that as a sport. I just see that as fighting competition. It's totally different.
Agreed.
It's totally different for me. Yeah.
Favorite action film star growing up? Yeah, mine was Bruce Willis. I liked Bruce Willis.
Yeah, that was one of them too. That was one of the first two that popped in my head. Yeah.
And that's it. That's our.
I like Bruce Willis. That's awesome, Jay.
That was our lightning, not so lightning round, because
not so lightning round, man. No. That's why I said they don't have to turn the clock on.
No, but
just ask questions.
But the thing is, you're really like about that life. Like when you're so ingratiated in the volleyball, like as this purist, it does take a second to be like favorite sport outside of volleyball. It's like,
yeah.
Wait, what?
Look, I love the game. I love the game itself. I love to play the game. I am not a fan.
Right.
It's weird. It's odd to me that I'm not more involved in this sport that I've been a part of for 30 plus years. That has given me so many things in my life, so many friends, so many connections, so much joy. It gave me an identity for a long time too. You know, as to who am I? I can't tell you the number of people that I walk up to, back here at home. I'm 50, man. Okay, and they go, "Hey, man, you still playing volleyball?" Like, that's all you talk about to me. That's it. That was my identity. So, but I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of playing the game.
Yeah.
Watching it, it's okay. It's just the same thing with me at the Saints. Yeah, I can watch them if they're on, but I don't care who wins.
Well,
if they lose, it ain't gonna ruin my day.
Yeah.
So volleyball for me is a love of the game. I love to watch it too. But I'm not going to bend over backwards to make sure I have to watch it.
Right.
It's just not that important to me.
No,
it's fun.
I think that's part of being a purist, right? Like,
yeah.
Like even the guys who
I'm not diehard.
No, but even like purists who watch the sport, they don't tune in to watch a particular player. Just some people, like let's say there's someone like me who just likes to watch tons of video and just break down video.
Sure.
I have secret guilty pleasures of maybe one or two people, but I'm more of a fan of the sport than following a particular player. Like TKN has taken my heart. I'm a fan. I'm just gonna say it. I am too. So if I have to be an admitted fan of someone, it's for the women it's TKN, and I really like Chrissy Jones back in the day. She's not, she ain't playing no more. And for the men, I go Theo, Baranek, who doesn't play anymore, and Trevor, and Theo and Trevor are a team now, so I felt like they did that just for me. But we got you covered, Jay. You're only a fan of two guys. Let's make a team. All right, guys.
Back in the day, when I watched people I knew, like I know Rosenthal, so if he was in the finals, sure, I'd watch that, or Phil, or Nick, or whomever, people that I really knew. But if it was guys that I didn't know, had a real connection with them, never hung out with them and stuff like that, it was like, okay.
It is what it is. Yeah.
It's just what it is. I love being a fan, but I'm not a super fan. I'm not a super nerd about it. Yeah. It's to me, it's just a game. It's like this. If the Saints win, cool. It ain't going to ruin my day at all, ever, any day of the week. and I don't even have to watch it. But I'm a fan. I love them.
When TKN lost in the playoffs, TKN lost in like the playoffs in the Olympics, my wife looked at me like, you look like your dog just died. And that's how you know. Like, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and I didn't feel that way when the Bills lost in the playoffs. And I've been a Bills fan since 1990. So how crazy is that?
I'm going to tell you why. You have a personal connection with TKN.
Yes. Amen.
You don't have a personal connection with the Buffalo Bills.
No.
You have a connection with them from growing up in New York,
right.
But you don't have a personal connection. You have talked to both of those women face to face.
Yeah.
And you've had conversations with them. You've gotten into here with them and into here with them. So that's why you felt that way. It's about connections.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
Right?
And we're going to leave it at that. Actually, dude, guys, we're leaving this about connections because I think this is the crux. If we had to pick like a theme or a crux of this episode of the podcast, I think you hit the nail on the head. And for the second time in as many as 10 minutes, we get another mic drop moment from yours truly, Derek Zimmerman. All right. So guys, listen, Derek might love you guys, but I don't love any of you guys. All right. In fact, I'm out of here. Get the hell out of here. For all of you at home, for all of you on your iPads, for all of you on your droids, if that's still exists, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world, old school, baby, old school. I'm Jason DeBeas. That's Derek Zimmerman. This is the Option Podcast, episode 221. Stay with me, Derek. We're going to hit my music, and we are out of here. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.